Today we're serving up tennis with Suffolk Parks and Recreation. Some great lessons coming to the courts near you. Joined now by Ken Cusick, who is now the tennis pro here with Suffolk Parks and Recreation, to help grow the sport here in the city of Suffolk and help those who have played before fine-tune their game. So Ken, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Well, look, first up, for those who maybe don't know you, let you introduce yourself a little bit. Talk about your tennis background and kind of what has brought you to Suffolk to help out with the tennis program here.
Well, I started playing at a young age, on and off, and then played high school. And once I started college, I said, hey, I'm going to start playing again. And just got involved with playing a lot. And then I got an opportunity with, here in Suffolk, actually, as an assistant to a lady named Jan Grover at Cedar Point Country Club. And then from there, as I was in college, I kind of did that on the side to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. And then after I got my degree in sports management at ODU, I said, you know, I think I want to do this for a living.
Right.
So from that point, I got my certification, and that's from the USPTA, United States Professional Tennis Association. Right. And from there, I just started grinding it out, whether playing, trying to get my level up, and then taking my information from school, mm-hmm. anatomy, kinesiology, sports psych, and trying to apply that to on-court teaching. And so now I'm an old man, and so I try to develop players, but also give them opportunity to socialize and exercise. You know, there's always a point that you're thinking, oh, I'm going to teach these really good, great players, and they're going to move on, and they're going to travel across the world. But that's so very rare. There's so many things that have to happen for that to be. And so I pretty much get into just the recreational player, and getting the moms, the dads, and the kids out, and letting them progress to the level they want to be. They can, if they want to play at a high level, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to be awesome to play tennis. Right. You can just enjoy playing tennis. So now I am in Franklin, and we're coming over here to Suffolk. I'm part of the Western Tidewater Tennis Association, right. And we're a 501c3. Okay. And we've done very well in Franklin, mm-hmm. and we've had a few people say, hey, can you do something in Suffolk? And
right.
I said, well, and this is finally, we're starting to date. We're dating right now,
right.
in the relationship, and so now we're trying to offer some programming here in Suffolk.
And when we talk about tennis here in the city of Suffolk, of course, we have the Howard Mass Tennis Facility.
Yes.
So a lot of courts out there,
yes.
Lit in some ways as far as for evening play. And I know some of the lessons and things we're going to be talking about are happening in the evening, some during the day.
Correct.
So kind of spread out there. But again, a great facility, pretty centrally located, right there off of North Main Street, right behind I think it's now a Kroger. I think we changed businesses there for a second, but
yeah.
It is behind there. But again, it's a beautiful facility right there, right near the Kids Zone Park and everything. So, you know, there's plenty of stuff going on there. Got skate park there, but you're focused on the tennis side of things. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, you know, the facility, I mean, now I was there when Howard Mass was there.
Okay.
I knew Howard.
Right.
He yelled at me a few times of how I wasn't doing something properly, which was a blessing. But, you know, 10-court facility, yeah. Lights, gazebo, bathrooms. You know, if you think about it, I think Greenbrier, City of Chesapeake has that facility, Virginia Beach, Owl Creek, which is closing down. It's a big facility, mm-hmm. and you know, I remember years ago, those courts used to be packed.
Right.
I had seen 100 kids out there through the day in camps that Howard ran, mm-hmm. and so you've got the facility.
Right.
So now it's the programming.
Right.
And so we're offering, just starting off, Tuesday evenings. Mm-hmm. And that's adults. Okay. And then we have a Saturday morning, beginner adult, and then we have juniors. Okay. And we go from little kids right. all the way up to high school. And the Tuesday evening is an intermediate and advanced drill and play. Mm-hmm. So it's an hour-and-a-half class. Right. We will drill. Right. I will run and gun you. Right. And then from there we'll play themed games, which a lot of my players love. Very challenging, right. very stimulating. Yeah. and they just can't get enough of it. And I think that's really where teaching is going on court. Not just your basic step 1, step 2, step 3, have a nice day, but kind of incorporate match play or theme playing into what they just practiced. And then when it comes to the juniors, it's going to be pretty much basics. Run, throw, catch, especially with the young ones. They really can't serve if they can't throw.
Right.
And ground strokes or tossing motion, and volleys or catches. If you can't catch, it's really difficult to volley.
Right.
So you got to teach them those things.
Sure.
Make it fun.
Right.
It just has to be fun.
Right.
And then as the ages increase, you challenge them a little bit more. And of course, the high school player, they're physically they're filling in their body, and a lot of them are already playing.
Right.
So then you work on some of the technical part of the game, and then again, still having fun.
Right.
A lot of these kids are not going to go play pro. So give them the opportunity to play and build their confidence when the season starts.
Right.
And so it's kind of like prep for the high school.
Got it.
So that's where we're starting.
Yeah.
And no telling what else
Sure.
we can do. We just need that feedback
Right.
from other folks. We did it in the fall. And we had really good turnout. We had 16 adults. Beginner adults.
Right.
And it's beginner refresher. So if you haven't played, like, I used to play 10 years ago in high school, well, it's for you, the beginner. So it's called a beginner refresher. You're coming back into it. And that's been very successful in Franklin. And but it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So I expect, hopefully, in the next couple of years, that those courts will be booked again,
Right.
fully booked again.
Right.
But we need to have continuity out there. You need to have a face, and you need to be able to have a contact, which right now I do believe that there is a job opportunity as an event coordinator.
Okay.
And that way people can call in, we can get a database of players, build up so we can have a ladies' night, a men's night, junior play, a tournament, and just round robin, just come out and socialize and have something to do on a Wednesday night or a Friday night. And then just start making that part of their life their social and their exercise time. So right now, especially with the pandemic, tennis has increased 20% because it's such a distant sport.
Right.
And there's no contact, and so tennis has really picked up recently. So hopefully, through time and effort, we can really build up and fill those 10 courts.
Well, I think, as you said, the offerings that the clinics and the sessions that you're bringing there, really anybody could fit in anywhere, because there's different levels, there's different ages, everything is there. So the infrastructure is there. It's just you got to get someone to kind of click that button or get themselves signed up to participate in there.
Correct.
And I think you already tapped into it a little bit, but I want to give you a chance to expound a little bit. Your teaching philosophy. I know you like to keep things moving. You mentioned fun. I think that's always a good start for people. It's not you're not militaristic in the approach to things, but the fact that it's not just how do you hit the ball, but the tactical nature of the game, because again, there's more than just hitting it over the net sometimes, but you got to start somewhere. So again, people are jumping in at different levels, and I think you're approaching it that, and I think in the teaching that you've been doing in the Western Tidewater area, I think that's generally kind of your philosophy is what's been to kind of find the people where they are and make it work for them and develop from there, correct?
Yeah, everybody has different perceptions of what they should do or what they shouldn't do. I'm really not a coach of don't. When you tell someone not to do something, you have to make sure you replace it with something. So I don't like to talk about how they're doing something incorrectly. I want them to focus on how they should do it. Or, that's fine the way you're doing it, because there's people that have strokes that are kind of different, but the ball still lands in.
Right.
But how about this? Let's do something that makes it better and give them that option. So I kind of convince them or sell it to them than just, I'm the pro, just do what I tell you. That doesn't go over very well. You want them to discover a little bit and ask them questions, and they can figure it out. A lot of them can figure it out. So getting to know that individual first and what's their background. And if I have somebody who said, well, I played football, and then I have somebody else, well, I rode horses. Those are two different skill sets. Right. So I have to, the horse part is a little more challenging, but I've had a few players that were wrestlers and football players, and they get really loud and rowdy, and you got to teach them to calm down a little bit, man. And then actually getting other players that are kind of submissive, and they apologize when they win. It's like, it's okay. But I think the biggest part is winning and losing is an outcome, and you can't control winning or losing. I know people feel that they think they can control. We're going to win, okay? But are you playing well? When you come off the court, did you play well? Some of my best matches I lost, but man, did I play well. And there's nothing worse winning 6-0, 6-0. There was no challenge. You're probably just standing there just saying out through the whole period.
Right.
So letting them relax and that they're not there for anybody else but themselves, and to enjoy the learning process, enjoy the ride. Problem is when you're a C player and you become the best C player, you're now the lowest B player.
Right.
And you move up to the top of the B, you're the bottom of the A again. So understanding that cycle is always going to happen.
Sure.
So, but I just have a lot of, and I've had players say, well, what would you, I would ask them, what would you do if you weren't playing tennis? Just be home or drinking.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, so it gives them something else.
Sure.
And mentally, physically, emotionally, it stimulates them. And I've had plenty of people who are counselors say, ooh, you're my, what do they say? That you're my rehab, not rehab, what do you call it? When you go to somebody, counselor, and they...
Therapy?
Therapy, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, some of them, I'm their therapist.
Got it, okay.
Excuse me, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, but pretty much laid back.
Yeah.
And if you want me to crank it up and you want me to break you down, sure. And I have a few that do that. I have people that come they have 3 lessons a week. And it's pressure. It's not just pressure on them, it's pressure on me. I'm like, I've got to make sure I've planned my lesson plans, progressions are correct. So, but pretty much, it has to be fun.
Yeah.
And you have to create that culture that everybody comes out, plays, socializes, and has fun.
Now, how do you think the game of tennis lends itself to a social aspect? I mean, football, it's a little, you mentioned football earlier, but it's a little difficult when you're trying to beat each other's brains in to be, social about it, so to speak. But I mean, tennis does afford that opportunity.
It does. You make bonds, especially in doubles. You make bonds because you're playing with somebody and you have to rely on them and you have to communicate. You also learn their style and your style. And then afterwards, after you play, generally what I like to do is have some social time afterwards or have a break.
Right.
And what happens is you find out, well, she's a teacher, he's a teacher, he's a teacher.
Right.
Where do you, oh, did you know?
Yeah.
And they start clicking, and they start making those bonds.
Right.
Even the beginner class in the fall, a month and a half later, after it was over, I'm getting photos of the same group playing.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Right.
There was no program going on.
Right.
It was freezing. It was like January. And they were together playing.
Yeah.
So they know each other now. And that's part of it.
Got it.
So you become the catalyst, and then they'll take care of the rest. But you especially with beginners, they're, oh gosh. And it's like, no. A lot of tennis players look at you as, not as, oh, you're not good enough. They're like, fresh meat, new player.
Right.
And also, remember, everybody who plays, they're not that good.
Right.
Some are better than others, but nobody's really good. So you don't want to critique too many players or isolate yourself.
Sure.
So I have players that were beginners, and now they're pretty good players, and they see new beginners. All they do is encourage them. Come on, why don't you come on with me? Oh, that's okay. I did the same thing. And they can't believe that player used to miss the ball.
Correct.
Like, how come? That's how it happens.
Yeah.
So they start building those bonds. So, and I just step away. I've done my job.
You're sort of the catalyst for that all
Yes,
kind of come
exactly.
together. And, Well, we talked about as far as what's going to be offered. Now, people can register. Of course, they'll be doing that through Suffolk Parks and Rec. And I believe there's a couple different ways they can do it.
Administration is open now.
Right, okay.
Also, you can go online.
Okay.
And you can register. It'll give you a detailed of what the class is about or
Right.
the age group.
Right.
And I use age groups with juniors as a standard, but I've had 10-year-olds that could beat most high school players. So they would be in the high school group.
Right.
But if I saw that,
Sure.
if they come out the first day, I'm like, look, yeah, maybe we should make an adjustment here.
Right.
But it's rare.
Yeah.
But we start with age group,
Mhm.
and then we go from there.
Got it.
And as the program grows and
Sure.
builds,
Sure.
we'll make those adjustments.
Correct.
But we have to start somewhere.
Correct. Right.
So
And you're kind of measuring and certainly trying to group people or kind of put people together, like you said, because again, for a good competitive environment, if everybody's sort of around the same level, you kind of get that out of it. But people can grow through that and hopefully develop and continue to enhance their game.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I want competitive matches.
Right.
Right now I'm running a league of 28 players in 2 different teams, and it's really men and women and A's, B's, and C's.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's competitive. And pretty much competitive is if you play 2 sets and you can win at least 7 games but lose,
Mhm.
it's competitive.
Right.
Like you were in it.
Right.
So and in that, I don't like 6-0, 6-0s for the winner or for the loser. So if we can be competitive,
Sure.
that's fine. Because 3 months from now, you're not going to remember who you lost to.
Correct.
Or who it doesn't matter.
Unless you really got issues, but we will talk about
Well,
that.
some people do. I
Different
understand.
therapies.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah.
Now, as far as if someone maybe hasn't played in a while or is taken off for the winter, because again, we're starting to get some nice days out there. People can start getting to the outside, getting played outside. What are some things you might want them to think about once they've signed up? Certainly, we want to encourage everybody to do that. But before they come out for the first lesson, you don't need to run a marathon necessarily. And also, do you need to bring a racket? Do you need to have a racket to participate? So just what are the parameters for what you want people to bring to you so you can work with them?
Yeah, they can bring a racket if they like. They don't need to go out and drop $200 and well, I got the best racket, but you can bring a racket. I have plenty.
Okay.
But we also have to look at the grip size,
Yes.
the power level of the racket, the stiffness. Has the racket been strung recently, or is it, my granddaddy gave me this one. And then from there, as far as physically, tennis is an out of the box sport. All day we sit in a box, we walk down the hall in the box, we sit in our desk, whatever. And then tennis, we start expanding out of that box. And if you haven't been playing in a while, such as serving, there's a lot of rotation in the shoulder.
Right.
So I generally like to get players to start throwing, just smooth throws, just relaxed throwing. A lot of times when we do cardio tennis, which is a little more aggressive movement, we do a dynamic warm-up.
Right.
And we do some movement, and we do some yoga stretches, range of motion, and we also do a cool down at the end. But I try to get them breaking into mentally also, here we go, and then I generally hand feed at first. It's a hand toss,
Right.
and that's a Spanish method of feeding balls. There's a dead ball feed where you hit the ball. There's a live where you hit with the student, and then a hand toss where you're actually close to them, and so that way the ball is slow and they can everything's fine. And what I get them to do is focus on what they're doing, not so much where the ball is going.
Right.
Are you preparing? Are you calm? Do you see the ball? Are you trying to make contact well? And then we go from there.
Got it.
But the worst thing anybody can do is go out there and start swinging or serving. Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, I could. Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
Right.
So I need you. Don't hurt yourself. That's the other thing, I need you in the clinic. I need you in the round robin.
Yes.
Don't blow it.
Yeah.
And so I would say when it comes to tennis, shoulder injury is a big one. Wrist irritation, and for some it's back, lower back.
Right.
And that generally comes from something else. Lower back isn't generally an issue from tennis. It's sitting too long improperly,
Right.
and then or not stretching.
Right.
So but besides that,
Yeah.
just walk into it. Don't just start sprinting out there. Definitely, especially if you're older.
Right.
So I myself have to get on a bike, warm up before I have my lessons. I try to do some yoga poses or get on the rower before I come to work,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start my day.
Got it.
Have to.
Well, again, getting back to the fun element of this, I think you generally try to keep things light in
Yeah.
that sense. And like you said, you kind of maybe gauge the feedback as far as with what this player may want and this player may want as far as, the way to best reach him or her in what you're trying to do. But as far as with the kids, that's got to be, I think fun is definitely the pervasive theme through all of that, especially the ones that are just starting out. Because you go, what's the age limit as far as the youngest group?
5.
5, yeah. So how do you get to a 5-year-old and keep it lively and keep them moving? Because I know with, energy in kids these days, how do you tap into that?
Well, I go by the experience of the first time I played tennis, and I have a picture of that. I was shirtless in Vegas, and there's a picture of me, and I still remember
Right.
that day, and I must have been 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
Pretty much, if a young child is playing tennis, they just think tennis is the greatest thing in the whole wide world, and they come on the court and like tennis, yeah, and that's my cue to tennis bat, yay, and be just like them. So, it's letting them be children, letting them play, and sometimes play is unorganized activity.
Right.
And as adults, no, to come over here, do that. You got to do it. No, you don't.
Right.
No, you create a scenario, you make up some names, and you get them doing what you want them to. But you don't say, this is a forehand now, you're going to go low to high. What is low to high? They don't even know what bounce, they don't really recognize what bounce is.
Right. Right.
So you just get them manipulating their bodies, holding balls, throwing balls, counting bounces, and just making it fun.
Yeah.
And they can hit the ball into the net, standing 3 feet away from the net, hit it in the net 5 times, and they're having fun. Now, I am not going to be, oh, come on now, you got to get the ball over. No, I don't give them that
Right,
at that age.
right.
You just let them, they're playing tennis. In their mind, they're playing tennis.
Correct.
Be quiet.
Right.
It's not about you.
Right.
Parent, it's not about you.
Right.
Let your child be a child. Sometimes I yell at my kids, you're acting like children. They're like, oh, we are. I'm like, yeah, keep on going. Yeah. And even older groups.
Yeah.
A lot of times, even say like my tweeners, which are 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
For the first 5 or 10 minutes of the lesson, I let them just go hit. There's plenty of them just hitting balls. They're just hitting balls. I need them to break off of school. I need them to shift gears. I need them to down-regulate of their day and let them just goof off a little bit before another parent, another adult gets on the court and starts organizing everything for them.
Yeah.
So let them play.
Yeah.
Let the children play. And if you have a student saying, I want more than this, okay, we can go from there. And that's where that player,
Sure.
I've had a few of those that just moved on and they start taking private lessons and they want to play college. Fine. But pretty much, if the child really wants to play, they're playing without me. Mom, take me out. Dad, take me out. And now they're playing. And so that's really where it comes from. If we can get parents spending more time, I know they spend their time with their children, but spending more time on the court with them,
Right.
or just playing catch.
Yeah.
If you teach a child how to run, throw, and catch at a young age, they could pretty much play any sport. Just give them the manual and understand the rules, because most sports are run, throw, catch.
Right.
And that's where I start them off. Running, skipping, hopping, throwing, tossing,
Right.
catching high, catching low, moving, catching, and those type of things. That's so much stimulation for them. They could do it forever. And that's how you integrate the athletic
Right.
ability for them to play sport.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I appreciate your time today. We're looking forward to, as far as the tennis knowledge you're going to be bringing as far as to Suffolk Parks and Recreation, to grow the sport here in the city of Suffolk, get people out on the courts, get people socializing, having fun.
Yes.
Again, the key word right there. And again, those great opportunities, we'll have the information on the screen one more time here as far as ways you could register and get in on the fun, as well as, again, the different divisions and kind of how things are broken up as far as with the adults, with the different skill levels, and again, with the juniors as far as different age groups to kind of get people out there participating. And again, the focus is to help them enjoy the sport of tennis, I should say, as well as, again, grow the sport here in the city of Suffolk. So, Ken, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. That will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.